Welcome to my YouTube channel. Yeah, we really got to tap in today and have this conversation. Our brother, our dear brother, man, he done got caught up in some sanctions, man. Say it ain't so. Woo! Man, they knew it was some things was coming down the road, and it's not looking good for P. Diddy. It's not looking good. And if you did not know, if you're just waking up, if you're just tuning in, he was indicted yesterday, and he's in court, in federal court today, behind bars, having to answer to some things, and it's not looking good, man. It's not looking good, and it's sad, but a lot of things, are coming out. And when they come out, they come out and, it's like they set the brother up, man. And if you did not know, Sean P. Diddy Combs arrested, charged with sex trafficking in a federal indictment. When I say sex trafficking, I thought he got in trouble for, domestic violence and putting hands on Cassie. Okay. And then he just lost the civil suit to an individual that's actually locked up for $100 million. Seems like this right here, like he may be the scapegoat to a bigger scheme, because when I really think about it, there's no way I can say Puffy, all of these accusations, like I said, whatever you do in the dark comes to the light. And I really cannot see or fathom some of the charges. And when you look at some of the charges, just the sex trafficking alone is suspect for me, because why would a mogul on that level, a superstar, super producer, take that, will be involved or be indicted for what we will call sex trafficking? And that's the part right there makes me really think is a sex trafficking aspect of it, because I wouldn't say we saw the video of him abusing Cassie, but in the sense of the sex trafficking, there's a bigger going on, and it looks like they're throwing the brother under the bus because something it's not resonating. I'm really not understanding. I'm not confused, but I'm really trying to wrap my mind around what's really going on, because a lot of the accusations or the charges are astonishing. You're talking about racketeering, sex trafficking. Okay, and according to CBS News, Sean P. Diddy Combs has been charged with sex trafficking, racketeering, conspiracy, and transportation to engage in prostitution, according to an indictment unsealed Tuesday. So racketeering, so that's a RICO. Okay. Conspiracy. So RICO is racketeering, influence, conspiracy, or corruption. Racketeering, conspiracy, and transportation to engage in prostitution. So think about this as a mogul. So I really didn't think that P. Diddy was pimping or pandering. Welcome to the discussion about P. Diddy's indictment. If you have a question or concern, we can go through this like a fine tooth comb. Put it in the comments. Good morning to you. And I'm sitting back wondering, sex trafficking, racketeering, conspiracy, and transportation to engage in prostitution. So they're saying that Puffy is not only pimping, but he is running, some type of organization for not only sex trafficking, but drugs, a whole racket, and got an entire team behind him that may be involved. So it's looking like there's a bigger picture. There is an underworld out there. There's a go-to guy. There's individuals, like I said, if you need the drugs, if you in Hollywood, if you doing big parties or whatever, you got your drug connect, then you go call we need some girls, you call your guy, the strip club owner and all that, and they go bring the girls. And then you got your security, you got your transportation. It's saying that Puffy is all of that combined into one. Or at least they're throwing him under the bus, because Sean Diddy Combs has been charged with sex trafficking, racketeering, conspiracy, and transportation to engage in prostitution. Wow. So think about the bigger picture. And I think of, movies in Hollywood. It seems like he was the guy. If you want the girls, P. Diddy. If you want the drugs, P. Diddy. If you want cross country, the transportation. If you want, women coming from state to state, call P. Diddy. I'm thinking the guy is a record mogul and a musician, singer, a rapper. And, just in recent years, he just changed his name to Love. And all of this have come to fruition after he started talking about his people on the show. And I did a video about it when he started talking about, his black people, that's dealing, with the crime, with the drugs and, dealing in the low classlessness. And he said that on the Breakfast Club, and he even mentioned reparations. And then all of a sudden, all of these things come down. So it looks like, there's a bigger picture. So let me continue to read. Okay, now charges were revealed after Combs was taken into custody by federal authorities in New York the night before, which was yesterday. Multiple law enforcement sources told CBS News, and I'm reading off of CBS's website, in connection with an ongoing investigation by Homeland Security. So when you talk about Homeland Security, that's federal. So you got the weight of the federal government out looking for you. So Combs is expected to appear in court. He is appearing in court today, according to a source familiar with the matter. Indictment: Combs manipulated women to participate in highly orchestrated performances of sexual activity with male commercial sex workers. So hold up to the indictment. Combs manipulated women to participate in highly orchestrated performances of sexual activity with male commercial workers. Now, I've never been to a Diddy party before, and I'm sure a lot of Hollywood has been to a Diddy party. So this is kind of, this is to me, I'm flabbergasted because first of all, just the charges alone, kind of is strange to me. Charges of sex trafficking, racketeering, conspiracy, and transportation to engage in prostitution. So he was running a prostitution ring. Then according to this part, according to the indictment, Combs manipulated women to participate in highly orchestrated performances of sexual activity with male commercial sex workers. What is a male commercial sex worker? Somebody help me out and put it in the chat or in the comment section. What is a male commercial sex worker? Okay, because according to the indictment, once again, Combs manipulated women to participate in highly orchestrated performances of sexual activity with male commercial workers. That is strange. That is strange. And Combs also arranged for women and commercial sex workers to be flown to him. So you're talking about, at least locked up, he liked the young girls and all of that. But this is unprecedented. I'm sure we all know that these things go on, but to this magnitude, and then dealing in Hollywood, where's your friends? Where's your partners? Now, also, let me continue. According to the indictment, Combs ensured participation from the women by, among other things, obtaining and distributing narcotics. So there's your narcotics and your drugs. Let me see here. Among other things, obtaining and distributing narcotics to them, controlling their careers, leveraging his financial support, and need to cut off the same, and using intimidation and violence. And that's pretty much what he pled when he basically gave Cassie the money. So there's other individuals involved, and this is crazy. And these accusations goes back to 2009 and continuing years, according to the indictment. And then they actually have a PDF of the indictment. In the district court, Southern District of New York, United States of America versus, wow, you got the weight of the federal government behind you. You never want to be in that situation. The United States of America versus Sean Combs, aka Puff Daddy, aka P. Diddy, aka Diddy, aka PD. And then his last name that he came out in this last little situation was aka Love. And that's crazy, man. This is astonishing. Now, the indictment reviewed an incident caught on hotel security cameras in 2016. Now, really put your mind around that. In 2016, they had this tape since 2016. And they knew it was going to be a time when they strategically was going to release the tape because, it comes in a man's life or human being's life. Once you figure it out, once you start seeing your wrong and your flaws and how to get right with God and trying to change your wicked ways, this is when they come out. See, Puffy was trying to, and I call him Puffy because that's who he was when he started with Biggie. So when Puffy came out and changed his name to Love and started promoting love, and he probably didn't want to do the sex parties, and what happened to Jeffrey Epstein and all of these people. So he was like, let me change, because the indictment refers to an incident caught on a hotel security cameras back in 2016. Think about that. Back in 2016, they had these tapes. And then all of a sudden, once the Cassie situation, and then all of a sudden a tape came out backdated all the way to 2016. And then all of these things unraveled itself within a 6, 7 to 8 month period. So they was just waiting. So the best thing that he could have did in hindsight, and I know when he's sitting in that courtroom or in that jail all night because he's being arraigned today, I'm sure he probably said to himself, I should have kept on doing what I was doing. Because when you are living a lifestyle outside of the context of righteousness and you just full in God, when you try to come out of it, the individuals whose lifestyle that were feeding, because he wasn't doing this by himself, commercial sex workers, transporting, women across country, the narcotics, all of that. That was for some very powerful individuals. That was for Hollywood. This was for men. And if you didn't know, P. Diddy's home in the Hills is pretty much in the same neighborhood as Hugh Hefner. And if you didn't know, Hef was doing his thing, but you had these sleeper cells all around who was doing the sex parties as well. And there's accusations allegedly of tunnels and all of these things that's going on that's actually going to come, out in the news cycle. But to have this information back in 2016, and we all change, because P. Diddy, he came out with an album called Love. It's love. He was trying to, get his life together. And then all of a sudden, they just go ahead and drop a video from 2016. Go ahead and raid his Beverly Hills and Miami home, and then let him just walk down freely and basically enjoy his summer. And then soon as, a week or two before fall, here comes the indictment. Because like I said, I follow some of these rappers, and I've seen videos with Diddy, hanging out at the beach and just chilling and all of that. But now this happens. So they let him enjoy his summer. So now here it is. So CNN aired the footage earlier here that appears to Combs attacking the singer Cassie, whose name is Sandra Ventura, in Los Angeles hallway at a hotel. And that pretty much was the start of it all, because we all know he apologized for the indictment, saying his behavior was inexcusable and that he took full responsibility for his actions. Looked like somebody that has repented and reconciled with God. When you repent and reconcile with God, and you live that lifestyle, to pay it back. Because when I saw the charges, it jacked me up. Okay. And like I said, I love humanity. I don't defend what he was doing like that, but to be charged with sex trafficking, number one, number two, racketeering, number three, conspiracy, number four, transportation to engage in prostitution. So they're saying Puffy was a pimp. Puffy was running a sex trafficking ring where he was producing drugs, because also the charges revealed after Puffy was taken into custody that by Homeland Security, which is the full weight of the federal government, the indictment Combs manipulated women. This is a key part right here: to participate highly orchestrated performances of sexual activity with male commercial workers. I have no clue what a male commercial sex worker is. And that's crazy. And Combs also allegedly arranged for women and commercial sex workers in. So this is astonishing. This is crazy. I mean, he was living his best life. He was trying to get it right. And like I said, they even put the whole entire indictment up. And this is crazy. I really don't. I mean, I understand, but we are looking at, how the system worked. See, first of all, he was cool when he was down with the freaky deaky. He was bringing in the sex workers and putting on these extravagant shows and these sex parties and all of that. But then soon as he, probably told them, I don't want to do that no more. I got daughters, trying to get his mind right. Here come all the accusations. And this is what happens when you live that lifestyle. You got to pay it back. So if you live that life, you got to pay it back, because it's clear that he was trying to clear up some stuff and trying to make an atonement and trying to get right, with the master, with the maker, with God. And all of a sudden they come, with these charges. And, when they first dropped the tape from 2016, it's crazy how, they had that just waiting for the strategic right time for them to pull it out, because they want to protect themselves. Now, if I was him, if I was Puffy, I would, I would choose state witness. I would start naming names. I would all know, because if you're willing to allow this man to have riches, to get, Sean Combs, Sean John, all in Macy's, and make him a mogul, and, put him on such, a whole nother level. Because one thing we got to understand, to get that type of money, to become a billionaire, somebody got to make a decision, or somebody got to allow you to gatekeep, open up that gate to allow you to be in that position. And this is why a lot of people are saying Cat Williams is the prophet, because he blew the whistle and said a lot of things on that Club Shay Shay episode that broke the internet. And now you have a lot of individuals that's going to be having to defend themselves because they knew what was going on. And it seems like that they're, if they're quiet, the Ushers, the Tevin Campbells, if you don't say anything, then you can actually, continue to just thrive and, where you need to be. And I could see why, Usher don't say anything, because he's on a whole level. But when you talk about the charges, I mean, this is like, I never even, I'm thinking he just, domestic violence. Maybe he, has something to do with the death of his, of Kim. I don't forget her last name, but the mother of his daughters. But somehow they put this man in a situation to where he's been charged with sex trafficking, racketeering, conspiracy, and transportation to engage in prostitution. Now that's the part that really gets me. That's the part that really gets me. And according to the indictment, once again, Combs manipulated women, participate in highly orchestrated performances of sexual activities with commercial sex workers. And I have no clue what a male commercial sex worker is. Because somebody put it in a comment and let me know what a male commercial worker is. And also allegedly arranged for women and commercial sex workers to be flown to him. So, I mean, when you got money like that, just having a beautiful woman and, sitting down, having a nice glass of wine and, a nice dinner and, smoke something, do whatever you do, I guess that just when you on that, that doesn't work anymore. Okay. There's no romance. The more freaky you are, the more it has to, be, on a whole nother level, but like I said, I thank God that, just me being with a woman is cool. I don't need that extra stuff. And this is, another thing is why they say that the PDF files, they basically, get turned on with things that they're not supposed to do. Let me see here. So much evil in Hollywood. I mean, it's more evil than we can ever imagine, because like I said, I thought P. Diddy was a music producer and just was a violent individual, domestic violence. I didn't know that he, involved in sex trafficking, racketeering, conspiracy, and transportation to engage in prostitution. So they're saying that this man is, pimping and pandering, and he's running around. So when you run a racket, you have, an entire group around you, because the RICO trial with Slim Thug, it's like 9 co-defendants. So why is Puffy only being charged by himself? Why is Puffy only being charged by himself? That's the craziest thing. What up with it? I mean, I'm sitting here tripping off this P. Diddy, because the charges came out today. They unveiled the charges, and they tried him for sex trafficking, racketeering, conspiracy, and transportation to engage in prostitution. And that's crazy, to engage in prostitution. And then apparently he was pretty much having these women perform. Let me see here. Combs manipulated women to participate in highly orchestrated performances of sexual activity with male commercial sex workers. And like I said, I still don't know what a male sex worker is. And these commercial sex workers flown into him, and women and the commercial sex workers, meaning the women and the males, into him. So I'm saying is, when you talk about racketeering, there has to be a racket. There has oppo. There has to be, a whole line of positions of people who are in the racket. So why is he the only one being indicted? That's the question of the hour for me. Because if you want to get him with racketeers as co-conspirators, where's the individuals that's working with him in this particular racket? That's RICO, racketeering, influence, corruption, organization. So the only thing that they didn't put on is the organ. So they're charging him as an individual, because if they would have charged him organization, then clearly they would have to went after his neighbors, the individuals that were participating. And it seems like some very powerful men that are closely associated with our politicians, and the ones that got the money that can actually swing voters and all of that, are involved in this. And the black man, once again, the scapegoat. Like I said, I'm not defending his actions. I'm not defending his choices in life that he has made, but it's clearly that they're throwing him under the bus, because how do you have a racket without the organization? This is a RICO trial. This should be a RICO case without the organization, because only thing that they haven't said, he got the R for racketeering, the conspiracy and corruption goes together, transportation to engage in prostitution. Only thing that they didn't add is the organization. And if they added an organization, that means this would have been multi indictments and multiple people charged. But since it's just P. Diddy, they're just going to make it seem he's just the guy. And I think he needs to be on suicide watch. I'm not sure if they're going to grant him bail. He is a flight risk, because even when they basically raided his Miami home and LA home, he was at the airport. So this is going to grow out of something that we can't even imagine. Okay. And I will call this a grand distraction to a bigger situation scenario, because this right here clearly is him being the scapegoat to a bigger operation. So if he basically manipulated women to participate in highly orchestrated sexual activity with male commercial workers, who was the before? Who was the attendance of the party? Where was the party at? Who supported it? And who's the Johns? See, it's crazy how you could have situations on this magnitude and really just have one individual involved. Now, I know that he's being charged of these things, and that's a serious matter. But I know, like, there are some individuals that's powerful behind the scenes that's making the decisions, and basically got the green light and said, you know what, we're going to protect our brand. So we're literally going to throw him under the bus and put it all on his shoulders. And that's sad, to put it all on this man's shoulders. And, because like I said, we would be shocked of the individuals that's involved. We will be shocked of the individuals that made the decisions, that if he continued to play the game the way that they're supposed to play the game, because she said that before, play the game, dummy. If he's playing the game, remember Kanye stepped out of the game, and he always somehow go get him a wife so he could just be home, because clearly he knows some things that's going on. Cat Williams knows some things but when you're an individual like Puffy, and the love of money is the root of all evil, and you want to be, rich and all of that, and you'll be willing to do anything to get rich, and then your dreams come into fruition, you cut a deal with the devil, you get to a level that's, that's of the highest of the highest of the highest, you can't change your mind. You might as well be all in. You can't serve master. So, because as soon as you try to, reconcile or reconcile with God, or reconcile with your past, or get it right, these are the moments that they basically pull things out the woodworks. Okay, they had that video since 2016, but they wanted him to continue to have the parties. They wanted him to continue, bringing in those sex workers. They wanted to continue to have him, orchestrate these highly sexual activities with these women, having to perform with commercial workers. And then the paperwork, they said highly orchestrated performances of sexual activity with male commercial workers. So the individuals that was soliciting these functions, those are the individuals that should be with them, but they know the game and they basically let him do everything because, he want to be in charge. He want to be the boss. Go ahead and be the boss. We'll run everything through you and we'll have these parties. And then when it all comes down, we'll disappear and then they'll do a RICO case, but just take off the O and not make an organization and just charge you with racketeering, conspiracy, and transportation to engage in prostitution. So, these women workers. So are we going to, see a trial? Is it going to be publicized? Are we going to see witnesses? Are people going to confess? It's a whole lot going on because when they basically raided both of his homes at the same time, his Miami home and his $60 million mansion that's up for sale in Beverly Hills right now in the same neighborhood, Hefner. Okay. Remember, Hef was with the business. Okay. But somehow, I guess at that, in those days and times, you could do what you want to do. But you look at the situation and those two homes were at the same time by the Department of Homeland Security. The federal government raided all the money behind it and all of this. And then he was still able to walk around, not be charged. And then you have, your podcasters and individuals that saying, he's going to be arrested. People thinking, oh, he living his best life. He was in Miami walking around, with, I'm not sure who's with, but I saw it on Instagram and he just walking around free. It was an indication to me that, they might have a strong case against him because when they have a good case, they take their time. Now, if it's and they are really just, wanting to, just make a show of it, they'll go ahead and put that out there and arrest you, but when it's something that's huge, they literally take their time. They put their ducks in order, they cross their T's and dot their I's. And then here we have it. After the whole summer, Puffy charged and arrested with sex trafficking in a federal indictment. And it's basically charged with sex trafficking, racketeering, conspiracy, transportation to engage in prostitution. So he has some cross-country pimping going on, according to the feds. And let me see here. According to the indictment, Combs manipulated women to participate in highly orchestrated performances of sexual activity with male commercial sex workers. I'm still clueless to what a male sex worker is. And also, Combs is allegedly, arranged women and commercial workers to be flown to him. So this is crazy. I understand it, but they're clearly throwing that man under the bus. There's a whole lot of co-conspirators that's along with this that should have been charged, that should have had their homes raided. But when you are, powerful individuals, you know how to play the game. You don't be the scapegoat. You go ahead and pump him up and say, Puffy, we're going to put you in charge of the women. We're going to put in charge of the drugs. We're going to, you like to throw a P. Diddy party. So why don't you go ahead and, do your P. Diddy party and we'll just sit back in the festivities. But when the blank hit the fan, we're going to sit back and just be quiet. And if you do mention our names, there's going to be some consequences and repercussions, because if he go and sing like a bird, he should, like I said, somebody had to allow this thing to happen, man. Somebody had to allow. And let me see here. Blue Red, you think Diddy is innocent? No, absolutely not, because there's no way, like, he could beat the case possibly, all things could be done through Christ. But, when the federal government, take their time, raid your homes and build case against you. And then when they basically had the Cassie tape and did not release it, they've had it since 2016. Then when he changed his name to Love and tried to do something different, and then they came out and, took it to a whole nother level. So there has to be some truths to it. but I do know how the manipulation game works. I do know how power works. I do know how, when you are, influential on another level, you keep your hands clean. If you really think about it, the top dog, don't even really get emails. The top dogs don't really be talking on these phones. The top dog typically knows how to hide himself, especially when you're working in an operation like this on a whole nother level. So when he got his go-to boy, and he pretty much is turning out to be a high price slave, a high price Negro, his do boy right here, you could get this man to sex traffic for the functions, the racketeering, bring the drugs in, and transport prostitutes to come in to engage in sexual performances. So you literally just throw him under the bus and let him be the fall guy, because this is how things work. Because it's, shit runs downhill. Okay, I got to keep it 100. It's top down. It's not bottom up. So there's individuals that's behind the scenes that's pretty much manipulating the game, putting individuals in charge. If they could find a good one that's, want to be rich, want to be successful, that take the deal. The devil always say, if you follow me, I give you everything. And he got everything. But the thing about it is he got a heart. He a black man. He got black children, got a black daughter. So he started probably thinking that he may need to do the right thing, change his name to Love. And they pretty much held, got everything on him. That's why it's so dangerous in the United States of America, because when you look at our political officials, you look at Harris and Trump and all of these guys, you pay attention, because the powerful individuals want the individuals in charge that they want to produce their narrative, going to, do what they're asking them to do. Because Harris said himself that there's only one type of supporter in this game of politics, and those are the ones who write checks. So the ones that write checks are what you call the silent partners, the ones that's all behind the scenes, that's benefiting, controlling, and manipulating. And in this situation, he clearly was working with some powerful individuals that manipulated him to basically do what he do, so they could continue to have, their fun and have their cake and eat it too. But when it hits the fan, that they can actually throw Puffy under the bus, because the sex trafficking, racketeering, conspiracy, and transportation to engage in prostitution. I mean, I know this all wasn't for him. And then, according to the indictment, Combs manipulated women to participate in highly orchestrated performances of sex activities with male commercial sex workers. And in my mind, I think of the movie Eyes Wide Shut with Tom Cruise. And it seems like those functions and those parties happen, and somehow, some way, P. Diddy became the guy that was actually throwing these parties. So he's responsible for all of it, because they charging him with a RICO without the O. So this is an individual case of racketeering, corruption, prostitution, drugs, the whole nine, without the organization component on it, because they know how to play the game. These individuals that's in charge was in charge when Hef was alive. They was hanging out with Bill Cosby, same thing, Epstein Island. These individuals are sick human beings behind the scenes, but these individuals, do these rituals and sell their souls for power. This is why I'm saying in 2020, you got to reconcile with God, get outside of this two-party system, be a special group of sovereign people outside of that, because we don't want to be guilty of initiation, because when the shit hits the fan, you see what happens. Okay. R. Kelly did what he did until he stopped makers and stopped making these record labels rich and all of that. And they protected him. And look what happened. Now, Puffy, same thing. And he decided to come out with an album. And I would say within the last 10 years, he didn't produce, mega hits, Rockefeller Records, Cash Money, Universal, all these, music groups, began to thrive. But Bad Boy Records, is on a decline. Didn't pivot to the movies. He didn't pivot, to the streaming. He pretty much basically signed on with the devil and say, hey, but P. Diddy party, I could throw a P. Diddy party. And now he's charged with trafficking, racketeering, conspiracy, and transportation to engage in prostitution. So now all of a sudden, Here it is. And like I said, when his homes were raided, it looks like when you look at pictures, that they robbed him, because a lot of the tapes was missing. They took the evidence and pretty much deciphered it amongst, the parties. Pretty much the powerful, influential people use their power and authority and their influence to get their names redacted or retracted from this investigation. All of a sudden, it's all P. Diddy. P. Diddy, he's making the call for the sex trafficking. You could call P. Diddy and he's the connect with the drugs. You could call P. Diddy and all of a sudden he's the connect prostitution. And that's the strangest thing that a man could think of, because I'm sure individuals just can't call Puffy for drugs. They just can't call Puffy for, the prostitution. They can't just call him, for all of this. But for some strange reason, the only one being charged, because he's being thrown under the bus. So like I said, we got to be careful. And, it went down. He's indicted. He's behind bars right now. And right now, his got to go to bat to see if he's going to be able to have bail. Okay. And to be honest with you, I give him bail because he is a flight risk. He got, connects with private planes and all of that. But man, this is crazy. And like I said, and they actually tried to speak to the Department of Homeland Security, but they declined So, man, with that being said, man, I appreciate y'all. Puffy has been indicted. They're throwing him under the bus. And, like the Slim Thug trial is a RICO trial, racketeering, influence, corruption, organization. But Puffy's being charged with a RICO without the O, because they're not putting the organization component on it. And he's the sole one that's being charged, and they done with sex trafficking. So I just want to know, the 5 W's, who, what, where, when, why, and the H, how. Puffy's in charge of sex trafficking. So he's calling, females to pull up, or, because the individuals that's pulling up, that's conspiracy. The individuals that's making the call, that's the organization. You were told to call this. So what's the RICO? Okay. Why is it just a single indictment for charged with sex trafficking, racketeering, conspiracy, and transportation to engage in prostitution? So I guess Puffy called all the females himself. Take that. I'm having a party, pull up. So what I'm saying is, and the only way, and like I said, I'm a quick thinker, and a thought just came in my head right now. And the reason why they're not charging him with a RICO is because all individuals involved are probably willing to testify and already get enough information to create the paper trail to put Puffy in this compromising situation, man. So it is what it is, man. Puffy going down. God bless you, brother. And what you do in the dark comes to the light. So let's stop making deals with the devil and reconcile with God. With that being said, y'all have a great day. Peace out. This your man, Glover, Better Black America TV.